Hi, welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Kyla if you're new here. If you're not new here, welcome back. I have a super tasty pumpkin sourdough loaf to share with you today. It's a little bit sweet, not too sweet, so you can still use it as like a sandwich bread. It'd be really yummy on turkey for like a turkey sandwich. And if you had a little cranberry, that would be delicious. But it does have a little sweetness to it, so it'd be really yummy for French toast or breakfast toast. And it's just a really, really yummy sourdough bread recipe. Sorry, my brain stopped. I'm using my mixing bowl, my mixer bowl, but this does not call for a mixer. So this is a no-knead recipe, and you don't need a mixer, so that's super awesome. We're gonna start with 120 grams of water. And that is a little bit wait, that's not right. 220 grams of water, sorry. 220 grams of water. And just so you know, for this recipe, it is super forgiving. Active sourdough starter is best for the poofiest and highest rise in your bread, but I also have used starter that has started to fall. So say you fed your starter, it's been sitting on your counter, and you missed the peak active time frame, and it's starting to fall down, still use it anyway. And it comes out just awesome. You might have to let it rise a little bit longer, but it comes out really good. So now I have my sourdough starter, and that is 100 grams. So this actually is starter that has fallen a little bit. It's not its active peak right now, but I'm not worried about it. It'll still work. It'll still be good. So 100 grams of that. I'm gonna give that just a little mix. You never wanna mix right on your kitchen scale, because it can mess up the calibration. So I'm just gonna give that a quick little mix. I'm gonna put it back on my scale. Sorry, I only have grams for this recipe because it's the most accurate. I encourage you can buy a kitchen scale with grams for very inexpensive. The one I have was like $20 on Amazon. I encourage you can also get them at Walmart. I encourage you to get a scale if you're gonna continue with your bread baking journey. So that's water and sourdough. We're gonna do 200 grams of canned pumpkin puree. If you're using homemade pumpkin puree, it's gonna have a higher water content. So you're gonna want to probably increase your flour, and you would have to just do it little by little, feeling the hydration of your dough as you're working that in. This is not homemade pumpkin puree. This is from the store, so it's pretty thick and less water. And it's 200 grams. Sorry for the clinking. My microphone broke a couple months ago, and I have yet to buy a new one. So there's 200 grams pumpkin. I'm gonna give that just a quick little mix. It's not a perfect mix, just a little mix to get it mixed in a little bit. Back on the scale. Now I'm gonna do 10 grams of salt. And normally I use honey in this recipe, but I'm running low on honey, and I put honey in my coffee, so I don't want to use the rest of the honey that I have for this instead of my coffee. So I am going to add sugar instead of honey. For this recipe, it's pretty interchangeable. You can use sugar, you can use maple syrup, or you can use honey. So I'm gonna use sugar in place of honey here. Maple syrup would be really yummy in this recipe as well. And I'm going to do 75 grams of sugar. And this is organic cane sugar. So it has a little more robust flavor because it's not bleached than bleached flour or bleached sugar. Again, sorry about the banging noises. Okay, now I'm going to add 15 grams of avocado oil. If you had coconut oil here, that would be really yummy right here. I actually do love coconut oil in sourdough products. It's very yummy. But I'm gonna use avocado oil and it's 15 grams. There we go. And I'm just going to give that a quick little mix before I add my flour. Okay, now we are going to add 500 grams all-purpose flour. And you can use bread flour here. I use all-purpose for most everything because I buy in bulk. So, but you could use bread flour here too. 500 grams. All right, now I'm just gonna give this a rough mix until it looks messy. If you have watched some of my other sourdough recipe videos, you'll know what I mean by messy. If not, I'll show you what I mean by messy in just a second. I'm just taking a spatula, just giving a rough mix of the flour and the liquids till it looks messy. And I will show you that in just a second. Okay, this is what I mean by messy. It's not perfect, it's just mixed messy together with to incorporate the flour and the water, and the liquids. And I'm gonna cover this with a wet towel, or you can use plastic, and I'm gonna let it autolaze for 30 minutes or just sit, and the flour will hydrate, and then we're gonna start our stretch and folds. So I'll see you back then after 30 minutes. It's been 30 minutes, so I'm going to do the first stretch and fold. So you grab a corner, and here, let me get a bit. Okay, so you grab a corner, pull it over, grab a corner, pull it over. It will break for the first stretch and fold a little bit. And I just go around and stretch and fold how I can. And then I'm going to cover this back with my wet towel. And we're gonna do that again in 30 minutes. And we're gonna do 3 sets of stretch and folds. I am on the next stretch and fold going to incorporate some chopped pecans. You can omit those if you don't want them in there. I think this bread tastes really yummy with chopped pecans, so I'm gonna add those. But I'll see you next I'll see you after 30 minutes on the next stretch and fold. It is time for the second stretch and fold. I'm going to add chopped pecans as an inclusion. You do not have to add this. Last time I made this bread, I did not add it. I added some at the end, which I'll show you what I'm gonna do. I'll do like a swirl addition in the end, but I didn't add inclusions now. I'm gonna do that this time because I thought it was really good. So this is the second stretch and fold with the pecans. If you have a hard time actually stretching up and folding without the dough coming with you, you can just pull up and then slap it under like I'm doing. I don't know, I hope you can see. So I'm pulling up and I'm like slapping and rolling it over like that. So I'm going to cover this back up and I'll see you in 30 minutes for the third stretch and fold. We are doing the last stretch and fold, and then we are going to let it rise. So let's do the stretch and fold. Let me get my hand wet. Your hand wet when you're doing the stretch and folds, otherwise the dough will stick to your hand. I'm gonna go ahead, by now that I'm feeling this dough, I'm gonna do 4 stretch and folds. I'm gonna do 1 more stretch and fold because it doesn't feel like, to me, the gluten is as developed as it should be. And if you're new to sourdough or bread making, don't stress about knowing how to tell if it needs more stretch and folds. That will come with practice. I know because it's still really sticky and it's not really stretching that much. That's how I know I'm gonna do another stretch and fold. I might actually add, if it's still really sticky, I might add a little bit of flour. I don't know. Let's see how it looks when I do the 4th stretch and fold. And it should look shiny, and it's not looking very shiny yet. That's another way that I know that it needs another stretch and fold, meaning it needs more time to develop gluten, more stretches and kneading. Well, we're not really kneading, but more stretch and folds to develop the gluten. I'll see you back in 30 minutes. Hi friends, it is the 4th stretch and fold. It looks pretty good. So instead of doing the actual stretch and folds, I'm just doing some quick kneading on the counter. I just want to make sure that I can feel the gluten has developed pretty good. It looks a lot more smooth than it did at the 3rd stretch and fold. Still kind of sticky, but there is a lot of hydration in this. I don't have the percentage of hydration. Normally my no knead sourdough bread is like around 75% hydration, and that is in 75% what the flour ratio is. I think this is higher than that, pretty sure. So it's gonna be sticky, but high hydration breads doughs produce really good breads. So I'm just giving this a quick little knead on the counter, and then I'm gonna plop it back in my bowl. I was gonna add some more flour, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm just gonna let it be sticky, and because I'm gonna be adding more flour when I shape it anyway. If it's still sticky, I'll add flour then. So I'm gonna put this back in my bowl, and I'm gonna cover it, and I'm gonna do the first bulk rise, and I'll see you when that has almost doubled and doesn't bounce back when I poke it. Hi friends. Okay, so the first rise is over and it looks great. We are going to do the second shape, the first shape, the second rise. And first we're gonna do, let me show you. I'm gonna change my camera angle so you can see what I'm doing here. I always struggle. I'm trying to see the best ways to show you, best angles for you guys. Okay, so it's ready to go. And if it's still really sticky, I might add some flour on my hands to help me out, but we'll just see how it goes. So we're gonna do the pre-shape. That's where you just kind of like smack it around on your counter. You don't really want to add flour right here because you want it to stick to your counter, and you're just gonna pull it towards you. Let me see if I can get closer to the camera. Okay, so see I'm like pulling it towards me. You're creating tension, and then you're gonna let the gluten rest for 10 minutes before you do your shape. So this is called pre-shape. I'm gonna do it again just to create some tension. This helps with the oven rise. So I'm gonna just set this on my counter right here, and it's gonna rest for 10 minutes, and then we're gonna do the shape. It's been 10 minutes, so we are going to shape this. So I'm just gonna slap it on the counter and spread it out. because we're gonna do a cinnamon sugar swirl. Now, I said in the beginning of this, video that it is slightly sweet, but it's not too sweet, so don't be afraid of what's happening right here. The cinnamon sugar that I'm going to add. So I'm also gonna do just a little dollops, however you wanna call it, of butter, just because it's yummy. This does not taste like a cinnamon roll, just so you know, it's not that sweet. Just doing a little bit of butter in here because it's really good. It's gonna wipe my butter finger on the banneton, it'll be fine. Okay, so this is just cinnamon and sugar that I have already mixed up. And I am gonna say this is gonna be around a tablespoon and a half. I'm not gonna measure, but if I were to guess, that's how much it would be. 1 to 2 tablespoons, how's that? This is something that I measure with love from my heart, not with an actual measuring spoon. So 1 to 2 tablespoons of a cinnamon sugar blend. You know, the same type of blend you would make cinnamon sugar toast. And then I'm gonna do a little dusting of pumpkin pie spice. Okay. Now we're gonna shape. So fold it over, and fold it over, fold it over. So that's folded over in fourths. And we're just gonna roll it up and try to create this tension. That's the key to shaping, is just trying to create some tension. Pulling it towards myself, if you can see. Now I'm going to lift it up, push it together, and plop it in the basket. Now, squeeze the ends. If they start to come apart, that's okay, just do your best. It'll be okay, no matter what. All right, so I'm gonna put this in a baggie, 1 sec. All right, this is going to rise in my fridge overnight. And we are going to bake it first thing in the morning. If you have time to bake it the same day, and you don't want to put it in the fridge, you can. It probably will rise depending on how warm it is in your house. It'll probably double. I've made this recipe like 4 times in the past couple weeks to get it good to share with you. And the last time I made it, oh wow, it doubled after this night shape in like an hour and a half. So if you have time to bake this the same day, it could rise within 1 to 2 hours if your house is a little cooler. So just plan on 1 to 4 hours that it'll double and ready for you to bake. But I'm gonna put this in my fridge because it's the evening time, or it's the nighttime here. And I will show you me baking it tomorrow. And I'm also gonna show you how to make it into a pumpkin, because it's a pumpkin loaf. Why not make it into the shape of a pumpkin? So I'll see y'all in the morning. So I decided to go ahead and let my Sank It Rise happen this evening instead of putting it in the fridge overnight. So it rose on the counter for about an hour and a half and it is ready to bake, but I'm gonna show you how to make it into a pumpkin first, and then we're gonna put it in the oven. So what I did was I took some twine, food grade twine, and I soaked it in some oil. You wanna do that because you don't want your twine to stick to the dough. So this is how we're gonna just put one string over there like that. I'm kind of squeezing out the excess oil out of my twine. We're gonna put this parchment paper. So this is the bottom. We're gonna tie those on the top. So Now parchment paper, we're gonna flip it around as gently as possible. Fix your twine, make it straight. Ice cubes in your Dutch oven. So that's gonna bake at 430 degrees Fahrenheit and for 25 minutes, then I'm gonna remove the lid for 15 minutes. So it has been cooling after taking it out of the oven, and it looks beautiful. You do not have to make it in the shape of a pumpkin. It'll still taste just as good. And I'm gonna cut into it for you. And I can't find my bread knife, so we're using just this big, huge knife. It'll be fine. It'll work out just right. Look at that. Ooh, it's still warm. It tastes, because it has the pecans and the cinnamon swirl, it tastes very similar to like a cinnamon raisin bread, but with no raisins. And not as sweet as that, but it's so good. I'm gonna put some butter on it and I'm gonna taste it. I should have let it cool for longer than the 10 minutes that I let it cool, but I can't help myself because fresh baked bread is so good right out of the oven. It is so yummy. I really hope you try out this recipe. Editing Kyla here. My memory ran out at the end of my video and I couldn't finish the end of that video. So I'm editing right now and I wanted to tell you, I hope you try that bread. Let me know how you like it. I think it's delicious. And you do not have to make it in the shape of a pumpkin like I did. You can make it in the shape of a regular round sourdough loaf or a bread loaf if you'd like to do that as well. Let me know how you like it. Also, let me know if you have any questions. As always, I hope you all have a blessed week and a fantastic rest of your day, and I will talk to you later.